Layla had promised herself she wouldn't become the kind of person who measured life in emails. Still, on the morning she moved into her new flat in Porto, she opened her laptop before she even unpacked the kettle. The subject line that mattered most sat near the top. Offer, Community Events Coordinator. She read it twice, as if the words might slip away. By noon, she was walking through the narrow streets toward City Hall, rehearsing a confident version of herself. The building smelled of polished stone and old paper. A woman at reception checked her name and smiled with the polite efficiency of someone who had seen hundreds of new beginnings. Her supervisor, Marta, was waiting by a window that looked out over the river. "You're early," she said, not unkindly. Marta had a calm face and sharp eyes, the kind that made you feel both noticed and examined. "I didn't want to get lost," Layla admitted. "Good. Being on time is underrated." Marta handed her a badge and a folder. "Your first week will be heavy. We have a weekend festival at Miradoro Park. Music, food stalls, local crafts, family-friendly. If it goes well, it becomes annual. If it goes badly..." She let the sentence hang. Layla nodded, feeling her excitement tighten into responsibility. A festival wasn't just posters and playlists. It was permits, safety plans, budgets, vendors, and most difficult of all, expectations. On Wednesday afternoon, after a meeting that ran too long, she stepped into the corridor and nearly collided with someone carrying a stack of rolled-up banners. "Sorry," she began, and then stopped. The man's face was familiar in a way that made her stomach drop. He blinked, then laughed once, surprised. "Layla? Tomas?" Her voice came out softer than she intended. They stared at each other for a second, both trying to catch up with the coincidence. 2 years ago, they had worked together at a small cultural center in Lisbon. They had also, in a messy and brief way, been something more than colleagues. It ended after a disagreement that never fully became an argument, but somehow left an echo. "What are you doing here?" Tomas asked. "I just started. Events coordinator." He lifted the banners. "Logistics contractor. Don't tell me you're on the Miradoro Festival?" "I am," Layla said, already sensing that the week had turned more complicated than her folder suggested. At first, seeing Tomas felt like a strange gift. He knew how these events worked, and he could read problems before they became disasters. During setup planning, he pointed out where crowds would bottleneck, which paths would turn into mud if it rained, and which supplier always delivered an hour late. He spoke with confidence, but there was no arrogance in it, just experience. On Friday evening, when most of the staff had gone home, Layla stayed behind to organize last-minute approvals. The festival schedule was final. The vendors were confirmed. The stage company had sent their paperwork. Almost all of it. Almost. Layla frowned at the checklist. "Stage safety certificate," she murmured, flipping through documents. It wasn't there. She emailed the stage company. No answer. By 9, the corridors were quiet, and the building felt bigger than it should. Layla was about to leave when she heard footsteps behind her. Tomas appeared in the doorway, holding 2 coffees as if he had guessed she'd still be there. "Marta said you're the type who works until the lights turn off." Layla accepted the coffee, grateful despite herself. "I'm missing the stage safety certificate." Tomas's expression shifted. Just slightly, but enough. "It's probably in transit," he said too quickly. "That's not comforting," Layla replied. "Without it, we technically can't open the main stage." Tomas exhaled and leaned against the doorframe. "Okay, don't panic. The certificate exists. The inspector came yesterday." "Then where is it?" He hesitated. It was an old habit of his, that pause before he chose which truth to offer. "The inspector didn't sign it." Layla stared at him. "What do you mean he didn't sign it?" "There were issues," Tomas admitted. "Minor ones. Cable management near the left support, and the barrier spacing. Fixable. We fixed most of it today." "Most of it isn't enough," Layla said, feeling heat rise in her face. "If something happens..." "Nothing will happen," Tomas said, but it sounded like a request rather than a fact. "Look, the stage is safe. It's just, bureaucracy is slow. The inspector said he could come back next week to sign, but that doesn't help us." Layla put the coffee down carefully, as if sudden movements might shatter her control. "Why didn't you tell me earlier?" Tomas's jaw tightened. "Because this festival matters, to the city, to Marta, to the vendors who've paid deposits. If we cancel the main stage, everything collapses. And honestly, Layla, you've been here 1 week. If this fails, who do you think they'll blame?" The words landed exactly where they were designed to. Layla had imagined proving herself, not defending herself. Tomas stepped closer, lowering his voice. There's another option. I can get you a signed copy. Not official, but it will pass a quick desk check. No one is trying to hurt anyone. We just need time. What are you asking me to do? Layla asked, though she already knew. Let it open, he said. We finish the last fixes at dawn. The inspector signs on Monday. Nobody loses their job, and the city gets its festival. Layla looked at the checklist again, the empty box waiting for a signature. She imagined children on shoulders, music drifting over the river, food stalls glowing under strings of lights. She also imagined the other version. A barrier giving way, a cable catching someone's foot, the kind of accident that begins as a small oversight and ends as a headline. She thought of why she had left Lisbon. She wanted work that felt honest, not just successful. If you can get a fake signed copy, she said slowly, you've done this before. Tomas didn't answer, and that was answer enough. Layla stood. I can't approve an unsigned stage. Tomas's face hardened, and for a moment she saw the old conflict between them. His belief that outcomes justified shortcuts, her fear that shortcuts became habits. You're choosing a piece of paper over people's livelihoods, he said. I'm choosing responsibility, Layla replied. Her voice shook, but she kept going. And I'm choosing not to start this job by lying. Tomas looked away, as if the corridor had suddenly become interesting. Then you'd better tell Marta, because if you don't, this becomes your secret too. They went to Marta's office together. The air inside felt colder, or maybe Layla's hands were simply losing warmth. Marta listened without interrupting, her face unreadable. When Layla finished, there was a long silence. Finally, Marta said, Thank you for telling me. She looked at Tomas. And thank you for being honest at the last moment, even if it wasn't your first choice. Tomas's mouth tightened, but he didn't argue. Marta picked up her phone and began making calls with the calm of someone who had dealt with disasters before they became public. The solution wasn't simple. The festival would open with a smaller acoustic stage near the cafe area, while the main stage remained closed until the inspector returned. Several headline acts would be rescheduled, and the city would issue a statement about additional safety checks, phrased in a way that sounded proactive, rather than panicked. The next day, Miradoro Park still filled with people. There was disappointment, yes, complaints, frustrated vendors, teenagers asking where the big speakers were. But there was also music, softer and closer, and conversations that didn't have to compete with bass. Children danced in front of a guitarist, as if he were the main act. Late in the afternoon, Layla found Tomas near the closed stage, watching workers adjust barriers. His shoulders looked heavier than usual. I made things harder, she said. Tomas let out a breath that was almost a laugh. You made things slower. That's different. They stood in silence, listening to the acoustic music drifting through the trees. After a while, Tomas said, I was angry because you didn't protect me. But maybe that's not your job. Layla glanced at him. Maybe it's all of our job, in different ways. He nodded, not fully convinced, but less defensive than before. You'll be good here, he said, and this time it didn't sound like a compliment. It sounded like a recognition, of the kind that comes with cost. When Layla walked back into the crowd, she felt strangely steady. The festival wasn't perfect, and neither was her new life, but she had started it with a decision she could live with, even if it meant letting go of the easier story.